This is how you successfully take a boat out for the first time. I'm going to take you step by step to figure out how the boat will respond before you even leave the slip. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. So we're taking Gigi's boat, Perfect Intentions. It's an Auberg 30, and we're going to be taking it out of the slip. Now, this is the first time I've ever operated a motorized Auberg, so I don't know how they handle under power. So we're going to be looking at what's the prop walk, how strong is the prop walk, and how quickly does the helm respond to all the input, and along with the thrust, like how quickly does it go into forward and reverse, and how much thrust do you get from it. So we have the boat tied up in the slip, everything is set so it can't hit up here, and we're just going to be thrusting it and seeing where is the thrust going so that way we can see how does the boat respond. Do you have any input on how the boat tends to act for you?
Very sluggishly, it feels like, which is why I'm afraid to take her out. Very afraid.
And also, it's a tight marina here. If we look here, she's got a bunch of really pretty shiny boats right around her and a lot of pilings. All right, the first thing to do is do a prop walk test. So what you do for that is you have the boat completely tied up, everything's still, and you throw it in reverse. And now you can see on the starboard side, we have a whole lot of prop wash coming out. And on the port side, we don't really have much at all. So that tells us that the water is being thrusted to the starboard and not to the port. So in other words, when you put the boat in reverse, the water is going to be thrusted off to the starboard side. That means that the stern is going to walk to port. So that tells you that in reverse, you're going to have a port prop walk. One tricky thing about prop walk, if the boat's moving forward and you throw it in reverse, the prop walk will be backwards until the boat comes to a stop, and then the prop walk goes normal. So that means that if, in this situation, it walks to port in reverse, if the boat is moving forward and you throw it in reverse, the stern's going to walk to starboard for a moment until it comes to a stop. And then it'll start walking to port. So it can get really confusing there. Okay, now we're going to take it out of reverse and we're going to go into forward. And we're going to see how much prop wash do we get, how much thrust do we get, and how quickly does the boat respond to everything. With the rudder straight, you can see that the prop wash comes out straight. Now when we throw the tiller hard to starboard, you can see the prop wash starts coming out on the port side. There's a little bit of a delay. So it's a good idea to count it. And we counted that it was 4 seconds to go to port. So that means that if you need to turn the bow to port and you turn the helm over, it's going to take about 4 seconds to respond. When we go to starboard, you can see the prop wash is still there. Now it's in the middle a little, still in the middle, still in the middle. It's coming. And now it's still in the middle. It's taking its time. So that means that it's going to take a really long time for this boat to turn to starboard. It'll turn to port pretty quickly, but not so much going to starboard. So that means that with this boat, if you're reversing, it's going to walk to port. If you need to turn to port, it'll turn quickly to port and forward, but it's going to turn really slowly to starboard, which means that if you are in a situation you have to do something quick and in a hurry, it might be easier to turn like 270 degrees instead of trying to make the 90-degree turn to starboard, as long as you have enough space. So yeah, it's a little tricky. So it's always a good idea when you get on a boat that's new to you, run through all these steps. Have the boat tied up so it can't hit anything, put it in forward, put it in reverse, test everything out and make sure that, that you know how this boat's going to respond. That way when you get out there and things are important and seconds matter, you know what it's going to do already, so it's not catching you off guard, and you're not trying to learn it while bouncing into other boats and pilings and stuff. So it's a really good lesson to do before you take your boat out, especially if you first sail the spring and you're a little rusty on how your boat responds. Give yourself a little refresher. Because I'm going to get you the tiller in the helm.
I'm ready for you. Turning.
Yep.
Coming. Now I'll go forward just to make sure nothing hooks.
Also the eyes.
Yep.
We clear? We're good. Now we start the long wait. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, that is tight.
Yep.
That is tight. If that boat didn't exist, it'd be a lot easier. Okay.
Can we go home now?
So do you want to practice in the morning? Sure. All right.
What? Oh,
You got it? Okay, so basically what I was doing was using prop walk and knowing that the steering was really slow. So I got us pretty far back. That way we had room to get speed over the rudder to get past the boat because it's a narrow pass through two really pretty shiny boats. So we're gonna do a little practice. So we're in a mooring field in Annapolis. There's tons of buoys and they're all set up in a grid. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up 4 buoys and they're going to be our slip. And we have to back up next to one of them and that's the side we're gonna be tying up on in the example. So we're gonna go over there, pick a buoy, and then turn into it.
Thanks for watching this episode of Sailing Wisdom. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next Rigging Doctor episode. And if you're interested in even more Rigging Doctor awesomeness, consider becoming a patron to see all of our extras. Can't wait to see you next time as you join us out here on the high seas.